Hi, fourth graders. Today for math, we're working on Module 5, Lesson 37. So we're in the very end of our unit on fractions. Today we're going to find the product of a whole number and a mixed number. So remember those key vocabulary terms. And the word product means multiplication. So in essence, we're going to be finding what a whole number multiplied by a mixed number is going to be. What is the answer? What's the product of that? All right, let's get started with an example. We're going to be drawing first to really visualize and understand what this process is. And then after that, we will eliminate the drawing and we will just use multiplication. All right, our first problem is going to look like this. So you're going to go ahead and write this down. 2 times 3 1/5. So one thing I wanted to point out is 2 is a single unit, so 2 ones or 2 wholes, and then our 3 1/5 is a single unit. Okay, it's a mixed number, so the 3 1/5 is together. So let's read and dissect this question. 2 times 3 1/5. What does that really mean? What does that really mean? Well, it means 2 groups of, because remember multiplication is just grouping, so it's a quicker way of addition. So I have 2 groups of 3 1/5. So I could write it like this. Well, here's one group of 3 1/5, and here's my second group of 3 1/5. So all I would be doing is adding these together because it's 2 groups. That's what multiplying is. It's a quicker way of adding. So I would be adding this together. Well, before we add it, let's draw it. I have 3, so I'm going to draw a tape diagram to represent my 3 here. And then I have, we'll say inside of this one is my 5th. Okay, so that represents my mixed number there. Now I need another one. So again, I'm going to use a tape diagram. Here's my 3 holes inside of there. And here is my 5th. Okay, so now I can really visually see, well, I have 2 times 3 holes. Okay, because I have 2 here, that's going to be 6. And then I also have 2 times 1/5 because I have 2 1/5s. Well, how many is 1/5 plus 1/5? Well, that's 2/5. Now I can put my whole number with my fraction here, and that's going to be 6 2/5. Okay, so that's our first example, kind of showing you visually. I wanted you to really pay attention here. Okay, if the second part here is a little bit tricky, that's okay. We're going to continue to practice it, but I really wanted you to understand what is multiplication. It means groups of. It's basically, we can show that with repeated addition, and we can show that visually. Okay, so let's practice with another example. All right, next example is going to be 4 times 5 2/10. So again, what is this asking us? It's asking us to multiply, but it's saying we want 4 groups of this fraction, this mixed number, okay? So I could write that down. I could write 4 groups of 5 2/10. So here's one group, here's the second group, here's the third group, and the fourth group. And I could be adding all of these up together. If I wanted to, that is one way I could do it. So this strategy would be called repeated addition, if we are showing the groups and adding them all up together. So I could add up all of my whole numbers, my ones, so 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, that would be 20. And then I can add up my fraction parts, 2/10, 2/10, 2/10 plus 2/10. So 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 2 more is 6, plus 2 more is 8, and my denominator stays the same because you can see it's all the same unit, tenths, and here would be my answer. So that would be repeated addition, and that is okay, but we also want to be able to show and see the multiplication that we can do within this. So I'm going to try and use another color underneath. So down underneath is, I'm going to show you a little bit of the multiplication. So 4 groups of 5 2/10. So basically, I need to multiply 4 times my whole number, 5, okay? And then I also need to multiply 4 times my fraction part. So 4 times 2/10. Okay, and then I would be adding that together. So I can solve it down below. So 4 times 5 is 20. Okay, and then 4 times 2/10. Well, remember with multiplication, we just multiply straight across. And I showed this in one of my small groups, is if it's easier for you, you can think of a whole number over 1. Because basically 1 can go into 4 times, so it would be a whole number. But if it's easier for you, you can think, oh, well, I can just put it over 1 and then I can multiply straight across. So 4 times 2 is going to be 8, and then 1 times 10 is going to be 10. So see, our denominator stays the same. So now I can just add those two together, and that would be 20 and 8/10. And notice our answer down here matches our answer up top. That was repeated addition. So the strategy down below here is basically the distributive property. And the distributive property is when I'm distributing, distributive property basically says I'm going to distribute my 4 to each of my parts. Okay, so I'm going to multiply it times 5, and I'm going to multiply it times my fraction part. So it's like we're doing it separately in 2 parts, and then we put it back together. All right, let's practice with another example. All right, number 3. We can do 3 times 7 3/4. So again, we're finding the product of a whole number times a mixed number. So what does this problem mean? It means 3 groups of 7 3/4. So let's show it the 2 ways. We can show repeated addition. I need 3 groups of this mixed number. 3/4 plus 7 3/4 plus 7 3/4. Then we can add the parts separately. So I'm going to add my whole number or my ones together. 7 plus 7 plus 7. That's going to be 21. Okay, and then I can add my fractional units together. 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4. Okay, 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 3 more is 9/4. So notice this is an improper fraction, so I need to change that. 4 can go into 9 2 times, 1 left over 4. Now I can add this to this. So what is 21 plus 2 1/4? Well, again, I can add my whole numbers together first. So 21 plus 2 is 23, and then add my fraction, 1/4. So this strategy, again, was repeated addition. We're just showing all the groups and then adding them together. We first add the whole numbers or the ones, and then we add the fractions. And if it becomes improper, we do have to change that to a mixed number before we can add it back to our whole number answer to get our final answer. All right, let me make a division here and now show you multiplication using distributive property. So distributive property strategy over here. All right, so 3 groups of 7 3/4. So I need to multiply my 3 to my whole number first. Okay, and then I need to add the second part. 3 now times 3/4. Okay, so this shows the breakdown of the operations you need to do. So you need to do multiplication and adding. So first multiply. So 3 times 7 is going to equal 21. Don't forget you're adding the second part. So then 3 times 3/4. Remember, we can put that 3 over 1 to make it easier. Now we can multiply straight across. 3 times 3 is 9. 1 times 4 is 4. Ooh, are you noticing anything? 9/4. 9/4. 21. 21. So I'm going to, again, change this improper fraction into a mixed number. 4 can go into 9 2 times with 1 left over 4. Now here's 21 on this side, and I need to add the 2 together. 21 plus 2 is 23, and then add my fourth. And if you notice, we did the exact same thing at this point. 21 plus 2 and 1/4, and then we got 23 and 1/4. Okay, so when you are working on your problem set today, I want you to choose whichever strategy makes most sense to you. Am I going to use multiplication through distributive property? Okay, so showing how I'm multiplying 3 times each part and then adding it together. Or am I going to do the repeated addition over here and add up the wholes first and the ones, and then add up my fractions and then add those 2 parts together? And if this is difficult for you, try today, and then tomorrow at 10:30 I will have a Zoom for help. And if you are struggling with this multiplication of finding the product of a whole number and a mixed number, please come to that Zoom tomorrow at 10:30. If you're not able to make it, let me know, and if you really need help with this, we can schedule a Zoom, just you and I, at a different time. All right, 4th graders, that wraps up Module 5, Lesson 37.